Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends, seen on internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. I want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide, but I especially want to welcome our very talented co-host, Miss Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Good to be here.
Salute to Michigan Congressman John Dingell Jr. John Dingell of Michigan was the longest-serving member of Congress ever. But he never cared too much about breaking records. Instead, he cared about what he did with that record-breaking time, and what a doer he was. The heart of this fearless lion of Congress stopped beating at 92 years of age on February 7, 2019. During his 59 years in the House, it beat through what he called the proudest vote for the 1964 Civil Rights Act. It beat through his many votes to protect our air, our water, and our land. It beat through his gabbling Medicare into passage. His cause was working people. His downriver district was braided with auto workers, Catholics, conservatives, lovers of Polish Puski, the University of Michigan, and the Democratic Party. He traversed its streets and met its residents even as a boy, campaigning for his father, who served before him. John loved the outdoors, hunting, his country, his fellow veterans, and especially after his 2015 retirement, even Twitter. But above all, his heart beat for his wife, the lovely Deborah. Just as John succeeded his father, she has succeeded him. To continue his fight is the greatest tribute she could offer. He would admonish us. He would exhort us to do so in the work of the nation. This giant followed the Constitution religiously. Thank you for your service, Mr. Congressman John Dingell Jr. of Michigan.
I salute John Dingell.
Great job. Great job.
Henry, do you have any? I'm sure you're in politics, and I'm sure you have an understanding of what it is, to be a giant, especially, and the longevity of someone to be in Congress for 59 years. That's a milestone.
Well, I think it's remissive of people to think that John Dingell could not have been a great American, even if you are a Republican,
Right.
Because it takes all of us. And we need contributions from both sides to make us who we are. And I know that there are many great Republicans, and some Republicans will take issue with me. But that's okay, because I can stand on my own. And I will give those who stand to do what Americans want them to do most of the time I salute.
Yeah, I have met Mr. Congressman John Dingell on a number of occasions at different functions. He was a gentleman, a giant of a gentleman, as well as a giant in Congress and for humanity of mankind. I learned a number of things from him, and which I will remember for the rest of my life. Jackie, what is your thoughts?
I didn't really know him. I heard of him, and I know I heard, and I respect. You said Debbie. Who wrote the article? Jennifer Granholm?
Jennifer Granholm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I respect her taking time to write such a great article. And it just goes back to us living out our dash, making sure that we're just not existing, but actually living with purpose. And that's what he did. He lived with purpose. And a lot of us work 20 years or 30 years and go home. But some people give that extra, and that's what he did. So we salute him. He has opened doors for many people. And I think that Congress looks like him now, so great work.
And those people who think that his job was a cakewalk, they need to run for Congress.
Right.
So they can have a lesson that they will never forget.
Right.
Well, let's hope so, and hopefully the ones that have just been voted into Congress, whether Republican or Democrat, would adhere to some of his philosophy, all right, of truth and justice for all and equality for all, okay? And it was a milestone, when he'll gavel in, the civil rights, and it was just, this is a man for all seasons, in my opinion, okay? A man for all seasons. We're going to change gears here now. Let's talk about Black History Month. What is your experience, Jackie? Is it necessary in the 21st century?
I think it is necessary because I was listening to Bernie Sanders on yesterday, and on The View, they called him out for not supporting the
referendum?
Well, they used another word.
Reparations.
But anyway, reparations. Okay.
Okay.
And they called him out for not using that. And what he said was, I think we need different stuff now. And when he said that, I said to myself, that's why it's important for us to go back in our history, because it tells us that if you don't know your history, it will repeat itself. And if you look at what's happening right now, at Eastern Michigan University, they just found a black doll hanging. Did you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Hanging in the dorm? And they also had where a lot of people are saying things, and you're in social media time. You used to could say these things and no one would remember if they didn't have a good memory, but now everybody is videotaping and they're bringing things back up. So now what we're doing is we're uncovering a lot of unhealed feelings. And they tell you that in therapy that if you can't talk about certain things, that means that you have not gotten over them. So if slavery make you uncomfortable, that means that you're not dealing with all the cards on the table, because you should be able to talk about that. You should be able to talk about, who paid into our society, who gave inventions that never got credit. That's a lot of our history. And I explained to one of my employees the reason why I never liked history, because it didn't look like me. I said I might have had, 3 people, Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King, and Rosa Parks. Those were the 3 main people. But there are so many more people that have contributed to us. And I think that's why a lot of times we don't feel worth, is because you don't understand where you come from. If you don't know where you're coming from, then a lot of times you don't have a destination of where you're going. So by knowing that you come from greatness, it's a lot of people, even though they were in slavery, they were still creating things. They still were doing things. So we don't have to live with that limitation. You can understand that your forefathers, they fought. Harriet Tubman was a bad woman.
Sure.
And she didn't do it by blacks alone. She had help from everyone, and we could take a page from her and do right now, because it takes everybody to come to the table for us to get on one accord so we can move forward. Because right now we're not moving, we're just stagnant, and we're unhealed, and we're still doing things, and we're not moving forward like we should as a great country that we live in.
That is true. I agree with everything that you're saying, Jackie. I know we're just finishing up Black History Month of February, okay? Whether it's the shortest days of the month or not, that's irrelevant. But what it means to, I think, to people that are concerned is that it was meaningful. I sit there and watched hour after hour, day after day. There was things that just blew my mind of the inventions and the discoveries, okay, that has been hidden for years, all right? And many of those accomplishments, all right, were attributed to other races, which is a lie, all right? Some people want to say, well, that was that time, okay? This is a different time, but see, they're forgetting the contributions, okay, purposely, all right, to for their benefit. all right? Whether it's medicine, science, okay, and things of that nature.
Right.
I mean, because when I was in school, that's all I ever heard about was Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, all right? And there's much more to us than that. You know, it's not about, it's about telling the truth, okay? Telling the truth about one's history. Way back from way back when, okay? White folks have been lying about us, all right? And that's not good. And then when you start talking about race, here comes the race card, you know what I mean? But that's not necessarily true in a whole lot of cases. It's about getting the truth out to our younger generation, whether it's our black children, white children, it doesn't matter. History, tell the truth about history. Now we're finding out all kinds of stuff that has been lied to us over these hundreds of years. Okay? People need to pay attention and stop going along to get along. All right? Or they're ashamed of who they might be. I'm proud to be a black American of African descent. Okay? Because these folks, oh my God, all you got to do is, I've watched Roots probably 30 or 40 times, okay? And, you know, and I get appalled at how we were treated. Now, it seems in the 21st century, we're still being treated indifferent, okay? We're not asking nobody to give us anything. We can get this stuff ourselves, but don't deprive of us. And you know that the ones that are doing well, okay. Don't deprive us of education. Don't deprive us, and you know, in terms of throwing our young men and women, black men and women in prison. Okay, we outnumber, from what I understand, the vast majority of those people that are locked up. All of those black men and women that are and young adults that are locked up, we're depriving them of their future. Okay? They say when you go to prison, you know, you're paying your dues to society, but that's a lie, because when you get out, all right, you can't get a job. All right, they've taken education, a lot of education incentives away from us because of that conviction. All right. And you know, there's 2 strikes. I really wish it was true. But my thing is, and I've talked about this before, when you do a crime, you go to prison, you do your time, okay, when you come out, they ought to, you know, depending on what you're in prison for, okay, you do your time, your record should be cleared. Plain and simple as that. Mr. Heather, what is your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting that you and Jackie missed the point here. And this is just a dilemma, guys. I'm going to get criticized for this badly. But you didn't say anything about Nate Turner. Do you know who he was?
Sure.
Do you know what he did?
Sure.
What did he do?
He uprised and killed a number of white people.
Okay, now based upon his history, how heroes are those who kill other people. And yet you guys are afraid to say it.
No, we're not afraid.
Hang on. We're not going to get into the debate.
It wasn't the top 10 for me.
What about the millions?
Hang on.
It's okay. But I'm not going to turn on white people who really made this country, because they did the right thing at the right time, and we all benefited from it. That's why, but yet that's why I don't hold it against them.
Oh, what against them?
The violence that they used
For
to
who?
accomplish their goals. We already said Nate Turner tried to accomplish his goals.
You're talking about one person. We're talking about millions of blacks that they murdered.
Out there who know the history.
But you're saying in comparison to what they did to us in slavery, you're saying Nat Turner.
That's what you're saying.
No,
that's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Hang on. This is not complimentary to all Americans, what I'm saying, and it's not complimentary to all blacks. I just wanted to throw it out for you. But like issues like many of the issues that divide human beings or pit them and pit human beings and resources together are driven by money, okay? And so there are many people in this country that divide us on a racial basis for the money. They can be living among us. They can look like us for the same reason. They're the whites who do the same thing. So history has been distorted a lot. But now we are finding out a lot of good things about history. And we don't need to go back and study about slavery and wallow in it. There's a time that we need to get out of that and move on to other issues. Like 2050 is coming up on us, and we have the paradigm shift. And we're not preparing ourselves for that. We're still wallowing in slavery. And we got to get away from that.
And I do believe that.
Let me finish
I do
this
believe that.
so that my
I'm on your
audience
team.
will
I'm on your
understand.
team.
Okay, so that the audience understand where I'm going. And I'm not just condemning white population, but I'm talking about we ourselves need to get out of the muck and try to. We got opportunities that's going to come whether we want them or not, whether we're prepared to take them or not, and we're not preparing for that. And I exonerate the Jews who look at the Holocaust and all the things that happened to them. They never forget their history, but they move on.
Then why do you think that the black folks should forget their history?
Well, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. Okay,
I'm not gonna argue that.
Jewish people. All right, they're always bringing up their history, the Holocaust, the German situation, this, that, whatnot. And let me get back to this other point. Okay, slavery was driven by money, All right.
Well, we're on the same page.
Okay. So listen. Nobody's wallowing in anything.
Don't distort my message.
Like if Jackie said, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. Okay. Just look at what's happening now. Okay. History is being repeated. Is repeating itself. All right.
How is that?
I don't.
Explain.
All white folks aren't bad. I have never said that. No. Never in my life. My grandmother's white.
Okay.
My mother's mother was white.
So is mine.
And most everybody's got some kind of European blood in them. Okay. But the bottom line is, it's still blood from the mother country. Okay?
I'm sorry I touched the nerve.
You haven't touched the nerve, but come with facts, not just like you want to overlook what is who gives a shit about Nat Turner? Who cares about Nat Turner?
Okay.
All right.
Good.
He killed 60.
Okay.
He killed 60
I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave it because
come on.
Stay right there, because I have something.
Nat
Stay
Turner
right there.
is not important and doesn't bring about.
But the reason why I said
that.
The reason why I said what I said is because if we don't understand our history, we will repeat it. So we might not be slaves.
That's a cliche. We don't need that. Yeah, that's a cliche. We might not be in, just listen to what I'm getting to say. We might not be enslaved in chains, but we're enslaved mentally. And let me tell you why. We have replaced slavery with black on black crime. Because we don't know our worth, because we hear so many times that we're not worth anything. And I'm not saying... I don't say that. I don't believe that.
But you cannot speak on behalf of all Americans, because there is like right now, Flint, Michigan is below the poverty level. So it's not because everybody is waddling, it's because opportunities disappeared and they didn't have but just listen.
The philosophy that we transfer to the next generation impacts our kids.
But just listen.
Our kids need to have their heads up.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, okay, so it's below the poverty level. So instead of us trying to get up, a lot of times we turn on each other, and so we have increased black on black crime. So we've replaced slavery with black on black crime, police brutality, and failed criminal justice system. And let me just tell you, and I have proof because I have a tenant that came in my office. He was 17 when he committed robbery, not murder, robbery. He served 30 years. He said he never seen what is a parole board?
Probation. Yeah, parole board.
They never had, he said he met them 6 months before he got out. They never came to check to see how he was doing. They didn't have rehabilitation like counseling services and that kind of stuff. So when he comes out here after he's served his debt, as you said, he doesn't have to serve again. You know what I mean? The sentence of not being able to find housing. And this is a situation because I pulled up his record, and people where he applied, even though he has a good job now, they made it seem as though his criminal history caused for him not to get a house. It wasn't that. They just were being prejudiced because they knew he had a history. See, and that's what I'm talking about. When you have served, we've already served our time in slavery, but we created our own slavery. We want to go out here, we want to keep doing stuff. I don't care what nobody says. Marijuana is a slavery right now. It's a current slavery because guess what? Now it's a recreational drug and you can do it, but you can have high paying jobs.
Okay.
And we haven't figured that out. So we're just happy that you can just get high. So we have our own slavery. So that's why Black history is good for you to dwell on things of positive nature. I'm not saying dwell on us coming over on the boat and people dead on the boat. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is now that we're here, exercise all the opportunities that we have right now. Exercise those. If you're at home doing nothing, get in school. Career Alliance have training.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, the ARP is now training where you can go to these jobs and get training so you can get better jobs. So there's paths, and I understand what you're saying because we're helping pay for the people who don't have any motivation.
And folks out there who are listening to us, understand why this is the #1 talk show in the United States. Because we bring both sides. We touch nerves. We tick off people and stuff like that.
And we tick
Not
off each other.
intentionally, but with the facts or the perceived facts. That's why we're a great show, and we need you to continue watching, and we need you to support the show.
And thank you for your endorsement.
I'm not
Mr.
done
Hunt.
yet, guys. I've touched a nerve, folks, as you can see this, and I have witnesses. But the thing is that we don't want to be victimized. There's no beauty in being victimized. And I don't cotton to it. I rise up, stand up, talk up, but be logical and just and fair.
And honest.
And honest.
And
And this is what we strive for. That's why we have these discussions. And sometimes we haven't thought through this stuff, and we haven't put it all together so that our conversations will merge to be one at some time. We know that nobody hits the exact truth all the time, but we have to resolve these issues over time. It's going to take part of the audience to help do that.
Well, this show is, we speak the truth as best as we know it to be, all right? And I believe I can speak for Jackie and Henry. We speak the truth as best as we know it to be, okay? And so far, we have not gotten any negatives in terms of our topics and in our dialogue. Okay?
Are we intimidating people?
I hope not, because that's not that's not the intent
Right.
of intimidating anybody, whomever you might be, rich or poor or otherwise. It's that people have to know, okay, what they're up against in terms of, not only local, but state, national, and international stuff.
And I'd like to leave this with our audience, though, before we go. We are 32 years away from the paradigm shift. Lots of things will happen, and there's no way we can stop this process, where African Americans will share a large segment of the political power in the United States. There's just no way we can miss it. And yet we ought to be focusing on things so that we become the statements, not just politicians. Politicians are politicians. They have very little to say and very inaccurate. But to become statements, to do the right thing for people, to help stabilize the world that we live in. we know that all of it can't be ours because somebody will take it away from. Do we need to we need to start teaching our children how they will live in the new world that's out there for them, the brave new world. And they've got to be prepared to sustain what we've already achieved and move ahead. That is where I'm saying that we need to put our emphasis in training our young people how to move ahead.
And I would like to challenge you, Henry, because you speak so elegantly about the paradigm shift, and you've made me, start thinking on them levels. And I pride myself in being a resource agent. I try to keep up with jobs and all that kind of stuff. I think it would be great for the city of Flint to have you come in and speak about the paradigm shift and give avenues as to what we should be doing as we approach that time.
Well, and I think that's all of our responsibility to do that, because I don't have a glass ball that I can see into and to see which seeds will grow and which will not.
Right.
But I do think that it's a good basis to begin our discussion. We should begin talking about, and I will wager you, what's happening in the country now started probably right here on this station, on this TV station, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when we began talking about the paradigm shift, and nobody would listen. People in public service, they wouldn't say. We have not had one call from anybody to discuss this, or to challenge us, or to ask questions. And we should, because we're going to have a big transition here, with or without the efforts of government. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's really good.
So it's uphill for us as Americans, and we need to learn to write the text for what should happen and how we are preparing for that shift. I might not be here, but you might be here.
What, in 25 years?
Yeah, 32 years.
I mean, wait.
Yeah,
we're all going to be. We're all going to
old.
be here.
Yeah,
We're all going to be here. And
but you won't have the impact that you have right now.
And I would suggest to everybody listening out there, if you got a platform, if you have a platform, okay, use it. Use it for the betterment of mankind, womankind. Use it, okay? Get the word out, okay? But speak the truth and speak positively, all right, to people.
And I would say, and that's where we need to improve Black history. What most people are so dedicated to the existing Black history that they don't see these new things that we're talking about.
Oh, that's good. Because you know what I think would be good? If we had a Flint Black history book. I know I've seen some from a long time ago, but a current Black history book from Flint where people can know the history locally.
Norm Bryant, the president of the Black History Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame, he's doing a lot of that, and we need to maybe invite him to be our guest one day.
Yeah.
Since you've mentioned Black history local, and we say, well, we're not being featured, and most people don't know our local history. Well, if you take a look at history, there are only 3 divisions of history: worldwide, national, and state history. We don't just go down to local history. Nobody will ever know that Henry Hatter lived in Flint, Michigan, or whatever Henry Hatter contributed, because we don't go that level.
With that, we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close. It's been a very interesting segment here. But again, if you have a platform, use it, okay? Whether you're a preacher, you're a teacher, you're an artist, you're an actor, whatever. This is Ronald Barrington Robinson stating for the In My Opinion show, stay focused.